Hello everyone, long time no talk to. This is Jen O'Ryan with SelfLoveU, and today I have a message for my YouTube followers and followers of the SelfLoveU blog. Today I want to talk to you about figuring out who you are, determining your own value system. This has been something that's been on my mind for a really long time, and I've wanted to talk about it, but I just really didn't understand how to talk about it. But I think I finally might have a grasp of how to discuss this and explain this to someone else, this process that has been going on the inside of me for the past few years. What I'm talking about is determining who you are. Whenever you're a codependent person and you're raised in a codependent environment, the whole problem is that you're enmeshed with someone else. You're dependent upon someone else for your sense of wholeness, for your sense of goodness, for your sense of value. You're dependent upon an external source, a third party, just somebody else. Not your good feelings and your feelings of worth and value do not come from the inside. They come from the outside, from approval that you get from other people, from validation that you get from others. You are not taught to validate yourself, so you are not programmed to validate yourself. When you're not taught to validate yourself, you're basically enmeshed with other people. You're enmeshed with outside people outside. And most of the time you don't even know who you are. You don't know how you feel because you weren't taught to recognize your own true feelings in your own inner environment. So what we have to do in recovery and healing from this codependency and healing from these problems is determine who we are. And part of that is to build a structure, some sort of foundation of who you are, and part of that involves building your own value system, because when all else fails and you don't know what to think and you don't know what to believe and you don't know who to believe and you're all tied up and enmeshed with external sources of selfhood, then you really don't know where to begin. And so I have found that the very best place to begin is within your own self, within your own value system. And that is to begin to build a structure of who you are and rules and regulations for yourself, very flexible, not black and white, but very flexible according to effectiveness and according to your own well-being. A set of guides, internal guidelines for the things that you are to do with your life. For example, your values, your value system. And so it's important to create a value system for yourself and begin to contemplate what your own value system is. And before you can do this, you have to understand how you feel about a given topic. You can't, you've got to unravel your feelings and understand your feelings and understand how you feel about a specific person, a specific situation. You've got to have freedom of feeling in order to get to your true value system. Because if you don't know how you feel, you're not going to be able to determine your own personal values. But let's just talk about values. So for me, there's a value that I have to not be rude to people, to be a nice person. So I try to live my life when it comes to situations that are foreign to me and I'm not sure what to do. I know that I have that value system in place, that I don't want to be mean to people. Now, does this mean that I allow people to walk all over me? No. That's another one of my values, is to stand firm in my truth and to speak my truth, regardless of it being good for someone else, of course, within reason. This is a very complicated topic, but each of us needs our own set of values that we can go to so that we don't have to seek external affirmation and external support for the things that are important to us. Because if you're a codependent person and you're healing from codependency, then you probably have a tendency to want to get approval for every single thing that you do, think, feel, are. You're just constantly wanting this approval because you're enmeshed with a third party. You're enmeshed with other people because you don't know that you have the ability inside of you to make your own decisions according to your own value system, your own ethics, your value system. So this is a process of building a set of values that you adhere to, that you want to stick to. Let's say you want to be nice to people. You want to, for me, I like to stay fit. So it's a value for me to exercise every day. It's an important value because it's for my health. It's also for my well-being. So I know whenever I'm sitting in a situation and I don't know what to do for the evening, and I know that one of my values is to stay healthy, then I know to work out. And do you understand? It kind of serves as your guide. I like to be prompt. I like to be on time. I don't like to keep people waiting. That's something that's a value for me. I don't care if it's a game and it's a good idea to keep people waiting. I don't like to. It doesn't make me feel good. It's against my value system. So I try to honor other people's time. That's just a value for me that is important to me. And I also expect other people to do the same for me. So I have this entire list of value, things that are important to me: being honest, being truthful, protecting my physical body. Like the other day, I went into an appointment for selling homes. You guys know I sell homes. Those of you who know I do, I sell homes. I went into an appointment and a dog bit me. Well, that's not in my value system for dogs to bite me, and I don't appreciate that. So I turned that dog in. It was not a nice dog, and of course, I don't want to step on anyone's toes by reporting their dog, but I also don't want to get rabies, and I don't think that dog should be going around biting people all the time. That's just a value. That's my decision. You may not agree with that. You may have a totally different thing that you would do. If I went to 5 different people and got 5 different people's opinions, 5 different people would give me something else that they think I should do. But my value is I don't want that dog to bite other realtors that go to that house. I mean, that's because I don't want other people to get hurt. That is a value system for me, is to protect myself and others if I have an opportunity to do so. Not to protect the dog whenever the dog is literally puncturing people and giving them wounds and bleeding, causing them to bleed. So that was not fun. That happened to me. And so that you want to think about your values. What are your values? What is important to you? As far as friendships, if you have a friend that is doing something that is outside of your value system and you think, well, they're not really harming me, but if it's outside of your value system, you really have to question whether or not this person is a good friend for you. If this is somebody that you're really going to be able to be a friend to, because if they're doing things that are outside of your value system, then you're going to be judging them behind the scenes. You're going to judge someone who does something that's against what you value as important. And so you really can't be a very good friend to that person. So you have to be careful about the people in your life, making sure that they are in line with your values. Not to say that you can't have anybody in your life that does things that are outside of your values, but those that are closest to you, those that you let in your inner circle, those who you confide in, those who you go to for support, those people need to have values that are similar to yours, because all kinds of problems can happen. So if you just want to make sure that the values line up with you and other people. Your values are what make you who you are. They're your guidelines through life to help you make decisions. In addition to learning to be present with your own feelings, you have to know what you feel about certain things so that you can know what to do at the last minute. Should I eat this cupcake or should I go for a run? Well, my values are to be healthy and to live a healthy lifestyle. So that helps me to make the decision to go for a run or a long walk instead of eating a cupcake, even though eating a cupcake may be something I really want to do. Now, sometimes it's good for me to eat a cupcake and just, not go for a run. It just depends on the values. I also have a value that says I like to enjoy myself. And so then I get to weigh the value and I can say, okay, do I want to be fit or do I want to enjoy myself right now? Well, have I been fit lately? Well, yes, I've been, eating very well and running and doing all of this. Well, then I can enjoy a cupcake because it's part of my value system to have an enjoyable life and not just be a fanatic about being so healthy and perfect. I'm not a perfectionist. And so that's part of my value system. My value system is the thing that keeps me in line with who I am. And every day I'm discovering new pieces of myself as I discover, oh, there's something that's important to me. And I try, as I'm thinking through my day, I try to kind of go through the motions and say, okay, that's a value for me. That's important to me. And once I put it in stone, then it feels so, it's like I find a piece of myself and I'm able to kind of make myself more solid because I know what's important to me. It's important to me to be trustworthy. It's important to me to be honest with others. It's important to me to try not to become addicted to substances. It's important to me to look my best. I like to look as good as I can. That's not really a value, but that's something that's important to me. But at the same time, you have to decide what is most important to you and what things can slide, and not be an external critic of yourself, like, shame on you for not doing that. You're not perfect, and shame on you for this, and shame on you for that. Your values, let's say you mess up, and let's say you go against what you value. Let's say you make a mistake. The important thing is not to be so hard on yourself and destroy yourself for making mistakes. Let's say you always want to be nice to everyone and you actually blow up at someone. And then instead of being cool to yourself and saying, you know what, you screwed up, it's okay, you're human, everybody makes mistakes. Let's say you send yourself into an emotional dungeon and you just hate yourself for whatever it is that you did. That's not a good thing to do, because you're hurting yourself so badly. You're just a human. You're not perfect. And it's okay to make mistakes. And it's okay to violate your own values. The key is just recognizing it and going easy and soft on yourself and loving yourself, no matter if you're perfect or not, and always getting back up and loving yourself and being gentle with yourself and being loving and giving yourself the benefit of the doubt and loving yourself and taking accountability whenever you make mistakes and saying, hey, I'm not perfect. Excuse me. You talk back to that inner critic inside that is like trying to tear you up. That false self that's trying to tell you you've got to be perfect in order to be loved. You say, you know what? I made a mistake. Excuse me. I am going to be fine. Or you know what? You don't like my value, but this is my value. This is me. I'm me. You are you. You can have your value, and I can have my value. And I'm sorry that you don't agree with my value. That's between you and your life, because my value is my value. Your value is your value. And I'm not going to try to change you, and you don't try to change me. It's okay that I decide to do certain things in my life the way I want to do them. And it's okay that you do what you do. Your values are okay, and my values are okay, and I'm not in charge of yours, and you're not in charge of mine, and you're on your side, and I'm on my side, and I don't need you to agree with my values. I don't need your affirmation of my values. My values are my values, because I affirm myself, because I know that I can't get what I need from you. I could get you to agree with everything about me, everything I want to do, and guess what? It's still not going to make me feel better. I'm still going to be trying to get you to agree with other things. What happens when you don't know what your values are is you become discombobulated. You make decisions. You make choices. You do things in your life that are totally screwy, that are totally against who you are, because you're seeking external validation for everything you're doing, and you can't make decisions on your own. So you don't know what your values are. You don't know what matters to you completely. And so you're seeking what matters to you in a third party because you have codependency. Well, that's not going to work. It doesn't work that way. We have to create our own value system and let other people have theirs. And hopefully they line up with ours, and then we can get closer to people that have aligned values. And if they don't, we have to understand that we either need to share our true feelings about the value that is not being upheld by the other person. Say the other person is, doing something that's just totally against your value system. You have to share that with that person, because if you don't, you really can't, you're not true to them, and you're not true to yourself, and you can't just go along with other people who have value systems that are completely off and different from yours. The point of this video is not that. The point of this video is just understanding that your values are your guideline. You've got to know what your values are. Start thinking about them. Start journaling about what your values are, because that is your path. It's your values. You get to make these up. These are not the values of your political party. These are not the value of your parents. These are not your values of your culture or your religion. These are your values that are internally important to you, that you want to adhere to yourself. And it is such a wonderful thing whenever you get to a place where you can stand by your own values. I can't tell you how great it feels to be able to just go, you know what, that's important to me. Me. Because those of us who are codependent and have been narcissistically abused, we have a tendency to over-empathize and look for approval in everybody else and try to get approval elsewhere other than in ourselves. And when we get to a place where we can give our own values to our own self, and we can tell our own selves that we're okay, and we can find worth within, that is whenever you're a truly whole person, and life really can begin to feel much better and much more user-friendly at that point. I'm Jenna Ryan. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, share, and until next time, I will talk to you soon.